Cornwall in September with the Lovelocks of Sunninghill. Rough cut photo trail. And it will be a rough cut, a bit like my appearance. Grown a beard, we only just got back. First the warning signs. Yeah, our address at 22 Armitage Court in Sunninghill. Fierce guard cats, including ours Toady, where GPS was tested in the late 1980s onwards at this spot. And there's the lovely bit of garden sculpture that June got Robin for a birthday present a couple of years ago now. Down their front drive, June managed to park the camper. Yeah, June did all the driving because Robin still hasn't got his driving licence from the DVLA. Hopefully that'll happen reasonably soon. Yes, where the cats often hang out, the forts. This one Toady uses. That one Bentley does occasionally. Here's the bicycle. Yes, everybody would have seen this one if they had the misfortune to see my videos, but this is for those who might be playing it for the first time. So this is the camper we used. Yes, that's other stuff, including the robot boat. June did all the driving, and Robin drove it last year, and we sustained some battle damage. June said Robin did it, Robin said the wall did it, but the wall is okay. What else can we show you? Well, the robot boat, I might be able to do a little bit more work on it. It's coming along. Robot boat to sail the Atlantic. Survived 6 weeks at sea last year, and we got as far as basically replacing the solar panels and painting, and so some more work there. Yes, next I've got to do the health and safety. Warning signs everywhere, for example about cameras, hidden and not so hidden. But the important thing is about water squirters, and you have to read the small print. There, I've done the health and safety, so we can proceed into the house. And there'll obviously be a long photo trail, which is what most of this video is, but we'll pop into the kitchen, and there's June relaxing after her hard day's driving, and gosh, surprise, surprise, she's watching tennis. And probably looking at messages to do with the tennis club. Yeah, Samantha doing coffee. Doing a coffee for me? No?
I'm doing a cup of tea.
Cup of tea? Is that all you can do? Right, okay, fair enough. That's the smart fridge. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, just a glance. I use these videos as an opportunity to say, yes, we're in the market for paid help in putting all the junk, but a lot of it is useful junk, like tools, materials, into the right places. And we did get some help over the last 2 or 3 years, and we've got places like sheds and things out in the garden. But hopefully this stuff will get tidied up in slow time. Right, out here, and oh, I suppose, yes, one of my projects in the past. Looks as there's a crack there. Not sure whether that's something's hit it. Yes, that's it. I don't want to spend too much time on this, so you'll be pleased to know. Into here. Yeah, the photo trail shows some of this. This is Robin's naughty corner, where he hangs out while June's usually watching television and tennis on television. And yeah, I look at the closed circuit TV, at the wildlife and things. Oh yeah, some electronics, because I haven't got the workshops in a good enough state yet, so I have to use space in the lounge. So I think that's about it. What I'll do is I'll put at the end of the photo trail, which will be a long one, a couple of clips. One of them are the prophetic words of James Lovelock about global warming. In short, it's going to happen and you haven't seen anything yet. The other one, on a less serious subject, is Robin's suggestions about the DVLA after the experience with his driving licence. And these apply whatever the result of his particular case. Right, that's enough of that. into those long photo trails for that lovely time in Cornwall. Saturday the 23rd of September 2023. That's the day we made our lovely trip down to Cornwall in the camper. And so here's a few photos to give you a flavour of it, including going past Stonehenge and the stop we made for topping up with diesel and have our lunch. And their destination was a lovely little village called Lanreath. That's just going past, over the Tamar Bridge, and then into the village of Lanreath. And there's Jill, June's sister, and me with Steve. And we stayed at their place for several nights, and anybody could see where we were with the tracker that I wore. So that was the summary. Now let's into the photo trail for the day. Yes, a letter from the DVLA saying I had to wait 7 days and then arrange an appointment with the doctor. So yes, sorry about that, can't help but smile. Some snaps of home, including the robot boat and June having to shift the cars, Toady making a nuisance of himself as usual, and make sure the sat-nav was working, although I actually did make good use of the paper maps as well. Make sure my tracker was working, so anybody looking at the contact page could say, there's Robin, whatever it was, on the road or walking around a town or somewhere. Look, all the junk in our games room and the kitchen, and now into the camper. June unplugs it because to make sure it was well charged up. Cars all put away, and Toady making a nuisance of himself on the drive. Yes, checking out the cars that she'd moved. So there's Robin's corner with the sculpture. Gonna make sure June doesn't drive over that going out. And Toady decided to park himself, blocking the drive. There you go, typical. Should have run over him really. So camper's out ready, and then we put the cars back to their usual places. Yeah, looks like Samantha's off to tennis. Toady decides to patrol the road, and then we're off. So that was the time we left, and let's see where we're going. A few landmarks onto the M3 motorway first of all. It was basically M3, A3, M303, A303, and most of the way. Nice smooth run, no particular difficulty. Oh yes, the road atlas had a torn page or two. We sellotaped that back in, because I must admit I do like keeping a track of where we are. On the paper map, road atlas is an obvious way, so if the electronics and other stuff fail, a few landmarks like I think that was Middle Wallop. There's my tracker, yes, a reminder anybody could see. Boscombe Down, familiar to a load of X3 ESAM's friends. Past Stonehenge, and Hill, and yes, quite good glimpses of Stonehenge as we went past. Understand they're doing work on a bypass, not sure what the result of that is going to be. And then past lovely landmarks like pubs, and June's got a tracker as well. Hers is the white one. That seems to be working as well. It was quite useful, and we could see where each other and rendezvous very easily. That was one of the later days. Right, so raising a warning finger. Oh yes, that sharp bend. We knew that spot well from our trips in the caravan. And what else? Yeah, so probably going past Plymouth now, I guess. Yeah, we go near Liskeard. there's me consulting the road atlas as well. And where are we here? Yeah, just checking because there's warnings about. Oh, that's the place we stopped. Lovely people, and little village stores where we picked up a few odds and ends, sandwiches. June topped up with diesel. Yeah, £116, and that's what I got. Simple packs of sandwiches, very convenient, and sat in the camper. They said, oh yeah, it's okay to park over there. Lovely. Check what the track. Yeah, there it shows us Harvest Energy, I think that filling station was called. So anybody could have seen what we were doing. I decided to have a banana. Curries, that amused me. Behind every great van is a team of technical experts. Yes, reminder of the computer which I bought recently from Curry's, which I love the place, but at the half the capacity that it said on the machine, but that wasn't their fault. That would have been their supplier. Anyhow, what else? Going over the Tamar Bridge by the look of it, into Cornwall, and yeah, through a tunnel. Yeah, there was no toll going into Cornwall. You had to pay a toll coming out. Guess they want to encourage people to visit Cornwall, spend their money. And what else have we got? Yeah, we're gradually making our way. Yeah, Lanreath, that's where we're heading, and that's where Jill and Stephen are. There's the village church, past the lovely shop, which is run by volunteers, and to Wickham House. I'm sure some of you know Mr. Wickham. There's Jill, and showing us around their lovely garden. Stephen, yeah, tree house. Pity if they do take that right out, but that's what they're planning to do, those trees. And there we go. Anybody look on the mapping and say, there they are, right next to the old rectory. And yes, video chat with Samantha, saying yes, we got there all right. Lovely book about the history, and it amused me that there was only about one paragraph about the Second World War. I suspect it was what was going on there was too highly classified to get mentioned in the book, but not to worry. Yeah, lovely. I think we had a spaghetti bolognese the first night, then into the camper, check a few things out, including, yes, the tracker showed the route correctly, so anybody following us could see, including where we stopped for a lunch break, and when we got there, including the village hall. That's where we went to. And there's the tracker, and that's the end of that day. Sunday the 24th of September 2023. Lanreath is how it's pronounced, and that's us going across in the ferry because Steve took us for a trip out to meet friends and see the town, and we had a lovely meal at the Royal Foy Yacht Club with their friends Jonathan and Alison, and then back. So that's the summary. There's the tracker. Anybody could see where we went, including around that campsite, just showing us it. So into the photo trail. So yeah, it's lovely being able to stay actually in the house, the annex of Wickham House, and check the weather so we could actually say, okay, our plans can be adjusted according to the rain coming through. And yeah, lovely bedroom. Yeah, there's the rain looking out the window. And yeah, kitchen. So absolutely lovely. And what are we doing here? Oh yes, they've decided to show us Foy and also meet up with their friends at the Royal Foy Yacht Club. My tracker's there, so anybody could see where we were going. Oh, that looks as though we're getting on the ferry. So yeah, the Gallant ferry. Lovely guys who run that. yeah, quite rough the weather, makes life interesting. And there we are, making progress across and getting safely to the other side. So a few landmarks as we make our way across. And what else have we got here? Yeah, just a few snaps taken through the town. Make our way, oh yes, to their friend's place, and we spend a bit of time there. Checking the trackers. They're a lovely place. And apparently the plans that be made is we go to the Roy Foy Yacht Club. And so we go there. A lovely meal. Yes. And interesting conversations, including with the other guys, and leave a suitable little tip. And then, yeah, a bit more walking around the town. This is still Foy. Yeah, things that caught Robin's eye. Obviously lots of interesting little places. And what else? Oh yes, can't remember the name of the place, but absolutely lovely. There's a doggy. And yeah, that's the rain coming through, just about arriving at that time it seems. About 6 o'clock. Yeah, you get different results according to which website you use. And on the ferry, so we're now going back, making our way back to Lanreath. He pointed out something there, and yeah, so this is the campsite that they, yeah, pouring with rain, as you can see, right in the thick of it. But yeah, that looked a nice place. Yeah, but got back to their home and where they let us stay, and there it is. And the point I'm making there is anybody can find out where anybody lives. And of course, because I wear that tracker and make it public, anybody can see where we're going, or at least where the tracker's going. So I think that's the end of that photo trail. Monday the 25th of September 2023. A few shots of the garden, and we took a bus trip, and it was to Paul Perrow, and had a look around that place, and yeah, interesting, lovely meal, and then we got a lift back with Jill and Stephen. I think they rendezvoused in Loo, and so that's the summary, and got back home, and that's another topic of some conversation. So here's the photo trail, some lovely shots of the garden at Wickham House, and yeah, the tracker to point out, anybody could see where we were and where we went. Yeah, looking at the weather forecast, that made me laugh. AOL put adverts at you and then offer that you pay them for them to remove the adverts. Very generous of them. Yeah, that interested me. Is a business just down the road, Stitched by Steve, basically embroidery online. And yeah, what's June checking? Oh, checking the bus timetable. So that was the bright idea, that we take a trip out on the bus. So we're probably on our way down to the bus stop. Yeah, across the car park of the lovely little village stores, which is, I think, run by volunteers. And then had a look around the that's a litter bin, a proper one, because it's got moss on it. It's been there a few years. Yeah, then we're on the bus, and there were several bus services. Obviously they're all private these days, and yeah, so that's become a driver. They're advertising that, but I must admit they have to be a pretty skilled guy looking at the roads that they're driving on. And yeah, so we're probably in Polperro there, I'm guessing, and lovely place, as of course many of these places are. And so we're looking round basically a little harbour town. Now that structure was interesting. It looked like an oil rig, and I think it probably might have been originally, but it was being used for repairs for the sewage system, I think. Lovely tea room, yes, enjoyed that. And yeah, still looking around, meeting the lovely characters, the little doggies, just checking what the tracker says. Difficult to see because of the reflections. And yeah, the museum, lovely artwork on the side of buildings. Yeah, gift shop, couldn't that made me amused. And yeah, some places there, many of them are historic value, if you call it that. And on the bus again, and I think, yes, we then went to Loo, and the reason for that was to rendezvous with Jill and Stephen to give us a lift back. But that place, of course, was lovely. So there's the ferry, and that is a little ferry, only a couple of pounds, and saves you a long walk around, even though it might be a nice walk, and over the bridge. So you just go take a shortcut. So that's what we did. And Jude and I got separated, but the trackers helped us see where we were. There's me having a look at the Ordnance Survey mapping, and yeah, taking photos of things that caught my eye. And then we get a lift back, and Jill and Stephen take us down to another place to have a look at, and Smugglers Inn on the shore. That was a lovely place. There's the tracker, yes, anybody could see, yes, looks like we had fish and chips. And yeah, sun going down low. That was where we went, according to the tracker that Robin was wearing. And that's the end of the photo trail. Tuesday the 26th of September 2023, mostly the train trips. So we basically got the train from Loo station, which is the end of the line on that line. Lovely things en route, and this is the summary, of course. And then got to St Austell after Liskeard, and then back to Fowey, saw the great big cruise ship, yes, Daphne du Maurier tribute there, and then were picked up by Steve and Jill. That's the travelling we did, and back to Lanreath. So now into the photo trail. Their lovely garden, and the room that we're in, rooms, checking the tracker. On the contact page, anybody can check where we were. That one was playing up, had to look at that. And that one's okay. Yeah. And what else? June's using the kitchen there by the look of it. And yeah. And then the other tracker, which is the spare spot 2 tracker, wasn't. And that needed some work on the battery as well. There wasn't time because we were going to go out. But yeah, it looks as I managed to get that working, so I know with the soldering on I better get it working properly. The other tracker, which is off the Snoopy page, worked fine. And there, June had rustled up some food. Then we make our way down to where the post office is and where the bus stop is, so we could catch a bus from Lanreath to, get it right, Foy, I think. Yeah, some egrets, I think those were. Yep, and yeah, the chandlery. I managed to get a couple of things for the Snoopy's robot boat, and I love those glasses on that dog. And yeah, harbour, having a good look at that. Because as the tide goes down, you get the mud flats. Right, so we get our way past the police station to the railway station, and it's the end of the line, as you can see. And so we then get the train from Loo. Yeah, checking out the power on the train, so you can plug in, charge up phones or cameras. Looking on the Ordnance Survey mapping as well, shows that more features, so it's easier to see where you are. And so following where we're going and getting a bit of warning of what we might see of interesting things to watch out for. Place called Sand Place, and that I think is a level crossing. And they're now into Liscard. Now we in fact changed trains there, because that's the end of that line, or at least where we have to get off, because we want to get through to St Austell. So we stop at Liscard station, have a quick look round, and then looking at where things are on the map, different line, and we want to go to St Austell. So Ordnance Survey map goes back in June's bag and go across onto the other platform. That was lovely. That flea bane, June's phone showed it up lovely, growing out of the bridge. Normally people have it in their rockery on things like front walls. Yeah, checking out the power sockets. That wasn't quite so good. All they had were the 3-pin main sockets, but oh well, can't expect everything. Right, this is probably stations en route and things we espy. Again, checking where we are on the map. So where are we now? Call it Charlestown, St Austell. So we've got off the train at St Austell, and we decided to take a look at the town centre of St Austell. I might as well say now that we took the bus from St Austell back, just to vary the route. So we now, had a real Cornish pasty, and that was an interesting thing. I can't remember where they called that place. I think it's a fairly new shopping centre, and that was an interesting place. I came very close to buying a laptop with Windows 7 loaded on it, but it would have taken them time to take off the operating system that's there and load it from DVD or CD or whatever. Anyhow, so now we're checking our route, and I think we're on the bus now, and that's got proper USB sockets. So checking this tracker, anybody could see where we were. So making our way back to Foy, I think. Yes, and the big pleasure cruiser in there, and that lovely bit of artwork was basically a tribute to Daphne du Maurier, who wrote, amongst other things, The Birds, the film immortalised by Hitchcock. That was the ship. Guys fishing. Yeah. And what else? Yeah, we then take the ferry. The ferry that normally we go in the car, except we just went across as foot passengers, because the old ferry inn was where we were going to wait to be picked up by Jill and Stephen. So they pick us up, and I took pictures of a few places en route. It's obviously gradually getting dark. Get back to their place. Yeah, there's something on the telly, football, I think it was. And yeah, relax. I check out things like the trackers. Yeah, just to say, anybody who was interested would have seen where we'd been. That was by logging in, so I got the complete track. So some of that was on trains, and some of it by bus, and of course some of it by foot. And that is pretty well the end of that photo trail. Wednesday the 27th of September 2023, a day of very strong winds, and Jill and Stephen took us down to Mevagissey to see the waves crashing on the rocks, and of course look round the town, and had a lovely meal at the Shark's Fin. And of course Robin tried out his million Turkish lira. The highlight must have been seeing the people getting wet with the waves splashing on the rocks. Then went into the Charlestown Gallery. Robin was very tempted to buy a bit of artwork, and then ended the day by ringing Pam Coughlan's place to arrange us to pop in there afterwards on our trip back. So now into the photo trail. So looking at the weather, yeah, some heavy rain coming through, but mostly the most important thing is the strong winds. Temperatures are reasonable. So checking the tracker. Yeah, anybody can look on the contact page, touch the button of it, and it shows where I am, and if they leave it on that. And the other tracker, that was the spare spot tracker. I managed to get that working. It just needed power. It needs a soldering iron to do the job properly, but anyhow, basically there's nothing wrong with it, it just needs power. So Mevagissey, so that's the route down there, with Steve driving, of course, and yeah, so I think that's probably taken the ferry, yes, near the home of Daphne du Maurier, who wrote many things, including The Birds. Yes, so we're going into, yeah, so it's an event of lovely photographs. Picked up the guy's card. Sorry, I've got the name here, but yeah, I check out the toilets as a matter of routine, even if I don't need them. Those toilets were locked up. Practically all the ones we found you had to put 20p in. The aquarium was interesting, lots of live fish. That was an interesting one. Apparently it was a wrasse. Oh yes, you could make donations. June took some pictures of, I think they were cormorants, but I'm not sure. And working our way down to where the waves are crashing on the rocks. And of course you've got things like lobster pots and all sorts of things. But a lot of people were there taking photos of the waves crashing on the rocks, and what it made it entertain. Oh yes, June pointed out footprints from some seabird or other in the wet concrete. Then we had fish and chips at the Shark Skin restaurant, and yeah, nice dessert menu. dessert menu. Coffee. Yeah, checking where we were on the trackers. Yes, anybody could have seen that's where we were. Oh yes, I did try that out just for a joke. And looks like we're off again to Charlestown. Apparently that's an interesting historic place, as I heard it described, pretty well built and developed by one rich guy. But there are lots of interesting things there. Was that where we saw the waves crashing on the rocks? Looks like it. And yes, I timed that one right, and that's the island with birds on it. June, I think, got some better material which might appear at the end. There's Jill and June. There's the footpath sign that had sort of fallen down. There's the artwork in the Charlestown Gallery. And so now we're being driven back past the Tesco, and yeah, the tracker's showing exactly correctly if anybody was interested. Oh, they're visiting Tesco. On the ferry, yeah, Gillan Ferry, so we get on the correct side of the water to go back into their village and back to their home. And June's checking something. Oh yes, that's the planned route back tomorrow, and perhaps we will be able to visit Pam Coughlan near Exeter. So I made a phone call and that worked well. So that's the end of that photo trail. Thursday the 28th of September 2023. Start by deciding where we're going to break our journey home. So here's a few pictures giving a summary of it, but basically we go back over the bridge, visit Pam Coughlan outside Exeter at Marden House, have a lunch, and yeah, that was fantastic. And then continue our journey, and we thought, yeah, Sidmouth, and we did find a lovely campsite up above it, and so we didn't have to look any further. We thought, yeah, check in there, bought a cornetto, and we thought, right, how about visiting Sidmouth? So yeah, we did, and ended up getting a taxi after a lovely curry at the Swan Inn. Right, so now into the main photo trail. So we're just about to leave Gill and Stevens, making sure we've got the camper ready, checking out the weather. Yeah, lots of rain coming through, 1 or 2 gaps. Yeah, we thought the route we take, we'd go past Marden House in Exeter, and we might go as far as West Bay, but there's several places we'll try first. So just taking some pictures around Wickham House, and yeah, all set to go, and the camper's ready. The tracker seems to be working, so anybody interested could say, oh yeah, no problems, they haven't had a problem, they're still travelling or hanging around. And so after saying our goodbyes, we're off and out of the village and on the road. Oh, June's speed is above the thing. Oh, those bridges were interesting. Not sure what they were. They might have been put there so cable could be laid across. That was one idea. I thought it might have been for wildlife. No idea. Interesting. Back over the Tamar Bridge. And of course you've got to pay to get out of Cornwall if you take that route. And so making good progress. And there's Marden House, very easy for parking. We just use the meter, put in the details, put in some coins, and there we go, got a parking ticket that we put. Not sure that's the right word, parking ticket. So we go in. We waited a little while because we wasn't sure whether they got the message, because it was a poor phone, but it worked brilliantly. Oh, I enjoyed looking at those ideas for the Marden Garden project. There's Pam with Nicola, and yeah, those are the photographs we took as having lunch. Yeah, Pam, and yeah, there's the tracker saying yes, that's where we were. So then we have to leave, and that was a lovely stay. So now we're making our way to the campsite that we saw. There's a butterfly, he flew off, and there's some squaddies because we go past the barracks. And where are we? Oh yes, some nice glimpses of countryside. So making our way to yeah, pubs. That looks as though we might be, yes, there we go, we found the place, and check in, get a pitch. The lovely lady shows us through the pitch, and yeah, got an electrical hook up there, lovely big fields, anybody to do anything. And so that was Salcombe Regis, the camping park. So the caravan's all, did I say caravan? The camper is all ready. Yes, we're checking out a few things like the weather. We thought, yeah, fancy going down to Seaton, but yeah, it's yeah, bus ride, but yeah, we might be lucky. So everything's all hooked up in terms of electricity. Yes, Robin's got his cornet from the shop. And then we found some interesting little bits of history, and we're making our way to the bus stop, which apparently is near the donkey sanctuary. What gave us a bit of amusement was the bus stop consisted of that, a post with a sign on it. But we caught the bus okay, and the only thing is we got off far too early, and we should have waited several bus stops to get down to the near the bottom, but yeah, happens. So we walked along for a while. I tried hitching on the off chance, and then we end up finding this riverside walk. And of course, if the weather had been nicer, it would have been absolutely lovely. And it was a walk of, I'm not sure how far, but probably several miles along the river. Absolutely lovely. That looks like the Mountain Ash, isn't it? And weirs, and yeah, there's quite a bit of community there, I should think. And there's a ford, but we thought, no, we won't paddle through the ford, we'll go over the bridge. And a local said, oh yeah, if you're looking for a pub, how about the Swan Inn? And yeah, we did. Yeah, lovely friendly people, but really good food. So we both had a curry, checked on the trackers, yeah, including the one that I wear. Anybody interested would say, oh, what are they doing? Oh, they're at the Swan Inn. And by the time they've been there, they're probably having a meal. And that's what we were doing. So, yeah. And so what after that? Yeah, looking at the weather again, and we thought, no, we got a taxi back. Made a few phone calls, and in fact, the guy from Peak was the lovely guy and a good price, and I gave him a couple of pound extra. Well worth it. And so that's the end of that photo trail. Friday the 29th of September 2023, and our journey home from the campsite we've been staying at. So making our way back using the sat nav. Also I'm looking across at paper maps. Yes, this is a quick summary, including stopping in the lay-by and chatting to the lovely guy from Bulgaria. So then get back home where there's some roadworks going on, and shift the cars around, check out the place, much the same, make this set of videos, and Bentley comes over to eat. And yeah, the robot boat is still fine, the lights are coming on because there's enough sunlight. So put out the peanuts, June rustles up a pizza, and that's about it. So that's the summary, and now into the photo trail. So that's the campsite. Had a quick look round. There's a lovely view of the village and the church, and June rustles up some Weetabix and what she has, and basically pack up the camper ready to go, bundle the cable in the back. So we're off using the Garmin sat nav this time. So I'll take a few pictures of landmarks along the way, which tend to be the pubs and the churches, things that have been there a little while. So we're on the main, what was that, the 303 I guess, and but I'm consulting the paper maps. Yeah, we go past a few places of interest, a load of work going on there, and yeah, it's quite a challenge really. Recognise where we were on the paper map. It's mostly done by the shape of the road, mostly because there's so little detail on the Garmin or any sat nav. Yeah, now we're coming into the West Wiltshire Downs. A few places like Chicklade that were familiar from our caravanning days. Some places change and some places thankfully don't. So yeah, just following the major road, and that was an interesting object. Not quite sure what it was. It looked like the sort of thing that would have been an observation post many years ago, like Royal Observer course during the Second War. Yeah, dozing off, a bit boring. And right, a few places, the Bell Inn, or the pub, a lovely bit of water there, and past Stonehenge, well signed, and Lark Hill Camp, Royal Artillery I believe. Yeah, so we get a nice view of Stonehenge and all the guys visiting it, from the main road and carry on. There's going to be a bypass there. I don't know what it's like. Oh, Boscombe Down. Yeah, that's a familiar place, as was Bilford Camp. Thruxton. I was quite curious about us perhaps visiting Thruxton Business Centre, which is at the airfield, I think. But we found a lay-by, and so we decided to stay here. That's what June decided. And I noticed the lorry parked in front. It had a Bulgarian plate. Checked the tracker. Yes, the tracker's working fine, so anybody would know. Yeah, that's where they stopped, right near that. And then chatting to the guy in Italian, which is something we both spoke a bit of. I showed him the tracker and also the website in Bulgarian, and obviously gave him a visiting card. So then we're off again. Quite an easy run. Round Andover, yeah, that's look at it on proper maps as opposed to what gets displayed. Past some army lorries, glimpses of whatever that was there, but couldn't see properly. I think that was probably Popham. And where are we now? Yeah, coming. You've gone past Basingstoke. Where are we? Getting closer, Camberley. Yeah, switch into the paper map just to get a better detail, and getting to where we turn off the M3 towards Bagshot, and past Longacres, turn off at the Windmill Pub, and into Berkshire, past the Beresteed, into Armitage Court, to find some roadworks. You can't miss them, can you? So we get home okay. Right, Samantha's there to greet us. The tracker worked well apparently. She could see us approaching, and so cars have got to be shifted around so that there's room. So June then brings the camper in. I check out everything. Yes, the Snoopy's robot boat is as it was when we left it, and no sign of Toadie. He didn't appear till late in the evening, and yeah, the trackers are fine. Yeah, Robin's naughty corners are fine. Yes, that's what June and Samantha had been using to check how we were going. And have a look in the back garden. Yeah, all overgrown, but much the same. Yes, washing on the line still. Flowers coming up. And what else have we? Yeah, go down the end. Yeah, garden features are still there, and yeah, all overgrown. Apples are coming along nicely. And what else do we have? Yeah, telescope. No work on that. Oh yes, couldn't resist the opportunity to show off the mirrors on the around the chimney, and the temperature. That looks pretty good. Is that 15 degrees? Yeah, and then logged into the website for the tracker so we can see all of the journey. And that's where we set off from the donkey, well, not far from the donkey sanctuary. And that was coming past Thruxton and home. Yeah, and we get home, and that's the right position of where we are. And so I obviously did a bit of work on offloading the camera and recording these commentaries. Bentley came over to have his meal, as is common, and June watched television and saw what stuff had come in by post. I see now that the light's coming on nicely on the robot boat, and the same product out in the garden. I put the peanuts out for the wildlife, such as the foxes and the hedgehog, and June rustles up pizza and yeah, watches television, and while I'm doing various things, hedgehog comes for the peanuts, and of course I'm doing this video processing and commentary. So that's it, that's the end of that. photos from June's smartphone in the order they were shot over those 7 days, and I'm not sure which are which, quite frankly. I'd have to refer back to the video and commentary I did, but they're lovely technical quality and absolutely fantastic photos. She also shot some video, quite a few clips of video, but I haven't included that because it takes some time to choose which bits to use and how. Some of them were slow motion shots of the waves coming in, and one of the clips I think was 10 minutes, but the photos are lovely. Might always recognise what things are. That was probably shot out a window, so there's some reflections there. That's me trying to take some photos. Well, that's definitely from the station as we went on our train trip along the Lou Valley line, and that is the fleabane grown out of a bridge that her telephoto was able to shoot, and that was the ship coming into the harbour, and yeah, wheelhouse, lovely bits of sand. Oh, that was when we went into the aquarium. She shot a lot of those fish. None of them are available to eat, apparently, and when I did ask the lovely lady looking after the place, she said no, they haven't got those, can't remember the name of them now. They eat horses and things that fall into the water. Yeah, those could be cormorants perhaps, I'm not sure what they are, somebody would know. Yeah, waves crashing on the rocks. That was, I think, possibly Davidstown, but I can't be sure. Some lovely old ships in the harbour and other things like the guns. That's a panorama shot. This is probably when lots of people going trying to get pictures of the waves crashing against the sea wall, and including myself. That was just inside the harbour. Yes, that's Robin. And yeah, not sure what bird that is. There's some interesting old bits of old engineering as well as old ships around. That's where the waves are crashing up. It was quite funny watching some people getting wet. Not sure what that is. Looks as though that's us taking the ferry with Steve driving, and back to their place. Shots of their garden. Lovely place, and the vegetable patch, and a glimpse of the trees that they're having taken down, I think, including that one with the tree house. And I've said before, if it was me, I would have it the top taken out. But yeah, absolutely lovely place. Wickham House, and of course the annex which they let us use, and that was from the walk down the riverside, and that's the end of those photos. I warned you there'd be long photo trails, and I might have put some sort of rough commentary on, very unrehearsed and everything. So what we'll do here is go back to where a couple of clips started, yes, including here, from about here. Now what I put on the screen, because global warming is rearing itself, it's something that's been on my grumpy page for years. The remarkable James Lovelock, who passed away on the 26th of July, his 103rd birthday. I'll read out what this says here. This has been on the grumpy page for years, not long after the publication of his book, Revenge of Gaia. We can't stop global warming, but we may delay it by a few decades to give us time to prepare for its effects. Vast areas of the world, including as close as continental Europe, becoming arid desert. Shrinking of habitable areas of the planet to much smaller parts of the planet, closer to the poles. The Earth will then only be able to support a small fraction of its present population, and there will be a need for massive migration. Places like the UK will remain temperate a little longer, so be an attractive destination. We need all world governments to cooperate to prepare for this inevitability. Also to agree things like reduce use of fossil fuels, to give us a few more decades to prepare. And then it goes on. The above is not a quote, but how I remember what James Lovelock said in his book, The Revenge of Gaia, etc. That's been unchanged on my site for years. And, right, well, the other thing I should mention, yes, retired, happy and spending that kid's inheritance, is for some time now I've not been able to drive due to, well, several mistakes at the DVLA. And what I will say is that I have new evidence of what happened inside the DVLA, which I won't publish yet because I'm still waiting for the reply to the letter which was delivered by recorded delivery to the head of the DVLA and also other people. So I'll put in at the end of this long video the video that's gone up, me talking about the DVLA, and basically in summary it says I don't want anybody to get into trouble, and that is definitely the case, and resigning is too easy. Problems need to be fixed. But quite honestly, that is a minor thing compared with all the other things that are going on in the world, not least wars, and of course what's in the background and very important is global warming. So let's run into that. Back in 2012.
Seen the launch of a transatlantic sailing attempt this morning in a model boat. Retired NATO scientist Robin Lovelock launched his Snoop Loop from Barton-on-Sea towards the Bahamas. It's already been tested over 5,000 miles on a lake in Berkshire. The model will be steered and tracked through a satellite system and by Snoopy, of course, and it should make the crossing in 6 months, if it survives, that is.
The most important thing of the lot, of course, is Snoopy the Viking, the skipper. I don't think he'd make it otherwise. We've also got another bit and piece here. This is a GPS logger that logs the position every 15 minutes. That was back in 2012. The guy that put this material together, including the live broadcast and what went up on the BBC website, is Ben Moore.
I just worry for Snoopy. Sport now and Hampshire.
Right, on to the next topic. Right. Now, I'm going to do this all in one take. All unrehearsed and unscripted, so sorry about that. What I'd like to happen, if anybody picks up on the DVLA story, is, as I say, nobody getting into trouble, and that's a genuine request, but when they find flaws in procedures where they don't cover certain things, be good if those are fixed. What I think would be useful for anybody looking at the DVLA and perhaps helping them is, first of all, their organisation chart showing the structure. Yes, it's well known who the head of the DVLA, remarkable woman, looking at her CV, and relevant to this story is the head of the health part. But it would be very useful to see, even if names aren't attached, obviously the names can be attached where they're public already, is how many people in each branch, how many people are reporting to how many. So a simple tree would help. I suggest that first of all. Then, perhaps even more important, is how many people working for the DVLA, even if you don't identify the individuals, are salaried by the DVLA excuse me, directly, as opposed to contracted through an agency or a business. That is very important, and we've seen what's been happening in places like the NHS for years. so that comes into the equation in terms of whether money is well spent. And of course the DVLA collects a lot of money. And there are probably other things as well. But as a starting point, I'd hope anybody that responds to this, I can't afford to get overloaded. We've got other things to do, many other things to do. And we'll be taking a holiday. That'll be public, yes. I'm tracked everywhere by different things. And in fact, if anybody's paranoid about it, anybody who's tracking somebody or looking at somebody's probably seen already. But at the end of the day, there's me whittering on, which is one of my main weaknesses since I was a little child. That's why if you put things up, clearly be careful what you put up, and often it can do some good. I'm now in the kitchen and June's rustling up some food in the microwave for Samantha. The microwave was invented by James Lovelock, if you didn't know. And here's Samantha, and of course there's tennis on the television, just for a change. So, oh yes, point out, holidays in we're going off to Sicily again soon, and into the hall. Yes, nice expensive paintings here. Yep, expensive little pocket camera, not expensive. And through into the lounge and out to wrap up this video by saying, look after yourselves, stay safe, and enjoy what days we have.